Helping Seniors Television, all about improving quality of life for seniors. If you're a senior, know a senior, or plan to be a senior, then this show is for you. It's all about helping you develop your own aging plan so you can age actively and with dignity. Helping Seniors Television from the Helping Seniors Network of information, education, and resources.
Today, real estate transactions for seniors on Helping Seniors TV.
I'm Kerry Fink with Helping Seniors Television. Welcome to today's program. What a privilege it is to have you here. And on behalf of our president and founder, Joe Steckler, we're so glad that you're taking the time to join us. Helping Seniors has been around since 2011. We're a Florida 501c3. That's a fancy term for a nonprofit. And what we do and have done since that day is operate the county senior information helpline. That's a free call to 321-473-7770. I'll say that number again, 321-473-7770. And Nancy Deerdorf, who's our operations director and kind of supervises that, she gets someplace between 350 and 450 calls every month from seniors and their families looking for assistance on everything from housing to transportation to legal to medical to financial. And amazingly, we're able to get people connected to resources and ideas that are going to help them along the journey. But as part of that, we came up with the idea a number of years ago that for most of us, well, literally for every single one of us, aging is on-the-job training, right? The best you can hope to do is study up and get a little bit ahead of it. And some of the things that we found along the way is the very fact that there's a couple of things. Number one, getting your ducks in a row is important. What do we mean by that? Joe Steckler calls that making an aging plan. What is an aging plan? We live in Florida. We understand a hurricane plan. A hurricane plan doesn't mean you want a hurricane to hit where you live. It just means that you want to be prepared and have thought through what you might do if it comes this way. That's what an aging plan is. We know there's challenges we could possibly run into, hopefully not, as we get older. But as any expert in aging will tell you, there are definitely advantages to staying ahead of the curve. I can't tell you how many times we've sat down and talked to elder law attorneys who say, I just wish I'd met you 30 days before this particular thing happened, because we would have so many other options and things we could talk about. Right now, given this is what we can do. So one of those areas that we've talked about in the Helping Seniors world is how do we help people get together ideas for that. The best thing is to, as Nancy Deerdorf says, you don't know what you don't know. So just by you viewing the program today, you're going to get far ahead on ideas for your aging plan. So we've talked about things like elder law, we've talked about things like finances, but one of the things that's important for us to talk about, because oftentimes it's many families' biggest asset, it's their home. And so it is with great honor and privilege I get to introduce a good friend of mine. His name is Tom Taranto. He is the head of Team Taranto of Keller-Williams Realty here in Brevard County. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
We have worked together on so many projects over the years, a network called Golden Providers, which is a business-to-business network of teams who really want to work together and learn how to really serve seniors with excellence. But that's kind of what you guys do day in, day out for seniors and everybody through Team Taranto and Keller-Williams Realty. And I was talking with you before the camera was rolling. I said, I remember a number of years ago reading a book. It was very impressive. And you told me the title of it. I think you called it The Millionaire
Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller, yeah.
And it was by, I was going to say, it was by a founder of Keller-Williams. And it was fascinating because it really outlined the detail to which that company and what you guys do holds important in terms of the process of helping a real estate seller or buyer.
Yeah, the book was by the founder of the company Keller-Williams. They interviewed the top real estate agents in the United States across all of the franchises. It had nothing to do with our particular franchise. It was just looking at the most successful agents and trying to see what do they have in common. And at the time, this was in the early 2000s, the top production agents were selling X number of 100 homes per year, and that was just amazing because traditionally you had a single agent, and they could only do so much. These top producing agents were just outproducing everybody else. So they basically did masterminds, and in the masterminds, they were trying to see what is the common denominators between these top agents. And that research basically was compiled into systems and models. And the systems and models were things that were like, clearly they work, because these are the things that all or most of these top performers were doing, even though they didn't know each other. They didn't know that they were doing similar things. And so it was kind of just distilled into systems that clearly work and organized into a book. And pretty interesting, because 2004, I believe it was, they sell this book, which is basically, this is how you do it. This is how it works. And still to that day, so many years later, it is, technology has changed. Yeah. We didn't have a lot of the famous websites, that portals and things, the internet, the MLS was different, didn't exist in the same way. But the basic principles are exactly the same, because it basically had to do with generating leads, following up on leads, and then leveraging anything that could be leveraged. Leveraging meaning delegate, get help with anything that you don't particularly have to do. And it also included a lot of things that were pretty new at the time, which was the concept of building teams inside of real estate, not just building a big brokerage, but actually building a team to support an agent to sell more houses.
That was the thing I was going to ask you about. I know at a recent Golden Providers meeting, you had mentioned that in your own personal career, you've sold thousands of houses. Yeah. And I was thinking about that because I couldn't even begin to come up with a number of how many real estate agents exist in Brevard County. Because you can go down to the grocery store and there's 20 cards lined up side by side. But then it seems like a lot of agents, maybe, they're moonlighting. They thought it's a great housing market, so let me see if I can get in on it. And there's quite a difference between somebody who's kind of tagging along for a ride and somebody who says, I'm serious about this, I need to help my customers get the best outcome here. That's why when we were talking and I said, how did you guys, Team Taranto, what does that mean? I mean, obviously it means you have help, there's more than just you, but then you started explaining, no, there's actually 11 people in my team. And why does a team benefit? Whether you're buying a house or selling a house, what difference does that make versus plucking the card off of the bulletin board at your local grocery store?
Yeah. So the answer to how many realtors there are is going to be somewhere in between 4,000 and 5,000 realtors in Brevard County. So 650,000 people, wow. 4,000 to 5,000 people, and basically same principle you probably see in a lot of sales. 10% of those agents sell 90% of the homes. And so there's a certain competitive spirit that, in all good fun, but we're competitive. We think it's fun. We look at our numbers. We look at the numbers of our competing agents, and we have fun with it. But when we do print off the actual sales volume, and it can be the number of units or the dollar volume of sales, because it's just two things you can measure, and then print that out, it comes out to about 50 pieces of paper.
Wow.
And our goal is to always at least be on page 1 out of 50. Wow. And so there's bigger teams, because there are certain brokerages in Brevard County where essentially all of the statistics go under the broker. So it's hard to compete with a team of 20 or 30 if we're not that many people. But looking at the numbers that we've been consistently in the top 1% for a very, very long time. So we can say without any hesitation that we're in the top 1%, and that applies nationwide as well. So if you take the average agents that sell this many homes per year and then look across the United States, we're still in the top 1%. So either nationwide or locally. And that's something that we're proud of because, like you say, the agents that are, on anywhere after page 1 or 2, kind of like on a Google search.
Right.
Like, why would I go to the agent on page 30 unless I specifically had some reason to do so? because you're looking for someone where it is their full-time job, that they're going to be responsive, they have enough experience where they know what they're doing, they've got systems in place to get this job done. Doesn't have to be, and honestly, when I give referrals to other areas, I look at their stats. And the agents that are not, performing highly, they don't like that at all. They like me. I'm a nice person, choose me. But when we look at the performance, we see that these are the top performers. I don't always take the highest number, the one that has the most units. That's not always the absolute best. But I want to see a certain volume in transactions. I want to see that they're pretty busy. Doesn't have to be the very biggest or busiest. And a lot of times I'll make the phone call to give a referral, and either whether they answer the phone or what they say might depend whether I give them the referral. Might have a conversation. So, but actual performance is important, and like I say, our team has had great performance now for many years running.
As you're telling me about that, it brings something to mind. It's like we've had this conversation, for example, we've done a lot of the Helping Seniors TV programs, for example, with elder law attorneys. And one of the things that if one was sitting between us right now and I mentioned do-it-yourself wills and things like that, you run down to the office supply store and buy a form, they will just start rolling their eyes because and then they will be waiting for a turn at the microphone to say, let me tell you, these people come in, the crisis has happened, they bring me the form, and the form wasn't executed properly, didn't have the right this, wasn't set up the right way, and now these people are flat stuck, and we have to go a very expensive route to resolve this.
Yeah.
When all of this, they thought they were saving a few dollars here, and it ended up costing them not thousands, literally tens of thousands over here. Yeah. So it was, the old thing, penny wise and pound foolish. And I was thinking this is the value of getting really solid professional advice. Yeah. Somebody who has been in the trenches, knows the ins and outs of it, is prepared to advise and guide me. And I think, Tom, that's what you're talking about when somebody calls you, is that you have seen the good, the bad, the ugly. Yep. You can help people maneuver through some of the pitfalls. And one of the areas I actually wanted to get into and discuss, because I've heard you present on this before, you have been very innovative, at least in my opinion, in presenting great solutions to problems that come up. Like when we talk about senior real estate, there's this whole issue of downsizing. Maybe mom and dad had a great house when they had kids at home, and now the kids have all got their own lives, are doing different things, and mom and dad need to shift gears because of what they're either trying to do or maybe having to react to in their own lives. And so now things are shifting, and so now they're going to need help with all of that. That's something that you're kind of set up, and you have, through your teams, you're ready to help simplify some of that.
Yeah, we have a lot of, we've been giving a lot of focus to downsizing, specifically being a downsizing expert. Part of that being looking for, basically to be the easy button, right? If they can push the easy button in order to get the move made, and also handling the stuff, which is usually 30, 40 years of just stuff that's been piled up at this house, and helping the senior to make the move. And in fact, I've had houses where we do, where we just basically have to help them take the most important stuff and then just liquidate the rest of it, whether it be donate, sell, or put it in a dumpster. But a lot of that's very overwhelming,
right,
for people. Couple of different programs that we have now that really are exciting, and we talk a lot about it. One of them is called the Trade-In Program. And the Trade-In Program is, and again, I don't know of any other team or brokerage in Brevard County that has this program, not the way that I'm describing it and with the backing that I'm describing. The Trade-In Program is basically that if I need to sell my house, let's say it's my big house and I'm downsizing, I need to sell this in order to even qualify with a loan to close on house number 2, or that's where the cash is coming from. But the problem is in this market, if you write a contract that says this is contingent on the sale of a home, and I send that contract in, the chances of that being accepted is almost zero. So you can go out there and just keep trying, and you're going to miss out on the houses that you like because the sellers aren't going to accept a contract contingent on the sale of another home. So what we do is we essentially put a contract to buy your home, free up the equity so that you can write a contract on the next home not contingent on the sale of another home.
Wow.
And essentially close on this house, free up the equity, use the equity as your down payment, let's say you're financing, use the equity to purchase the second home, and essentially what we do is we'll then sell this house, because you don't get 100%, you get about 80% out on this closing. We would then sell this house, second house, once it's emptied and cleaned and painted and mulched and staged, whatever needs to be done, and essentially give the remainder of the proceeds back to the seller.
Wow.
After the second closing, minus closing costs and whatever expenses we put into it. So when you look at it and you zoom out, you're not giving in to some investor who's only going to give you maybe 70% of your value, which is a huge, loss of your equity. You're going to essentially get 100% of your equity, and just do it in an order that you couldn't do on your own.
Right.
And now you're able to go in and buy a home. You're able to have some time to get out of this home, move your stuff over, and then you're still going to get all of your equity at the end of the day. So the trade-in program, literally, like if anyone who's listening sits down and we talk about it, you're probably going to say it sounds too good to be true. And normally when something sounds too good to be true, it's not true, right? But this is an actual program that's 100% true. And same thing with our other program. It's called a simple sale. And so if you wanted to sell your home, and it's like, I just don't want a bunch of people in my house. I don't want a bunch of showings. I don't want open houses. We could make you an offer on it, which is essentially an estimate of as is, current value, current condition, which is about 90% of the current value. The thing about that is that's 90% of current value with no commissions, no closing costs. So if you know what typical commissions and closing costs often are, you're going to be somewhere around maybe 7 to 8% for all of the above. So essentially, you're able to sell with an as-is, no showings, make it easy, just sell my house for maybe a couple percent difference.
Wow.
Again, it sounds too good to be true. It's not. It actually is a program that we're working with that's really helpful for people.
See, that's the thing, that when you're dealing with somebody who really has kind of an ear to the industry and you know what trends and what's shaping up and what options are available. Another area that I've heard you talk about, which I thought was fascinating, is what you call the double closing scenario, meaning somebody has sold a house and literally on the day that they get the cash from that house and finish their deal, they have to walk across the street, so to speak, and close on their new house, and one can't happen with the other. But of course your real estate contract says, well, the minute the house deal is done, all my stuff is supposed to be out of there so the new people can take possession. And obviously I can't take possession of the new house because I haven't closed on it yet.
Yep. Yeah, so again, if you use the trade-in program, that's all built in to that program. If not, it requires just somebody who's very, very skilled at negotiating and knows all of the laws, all of the liabilities, all of the, how to handle a pre-occupancy, a post-occupancy.
Wow.
And has contacts with movers, has contacts with different vendors that can help make that happen. So yeah, it's one of those things. You could try to do it on your own. You could try to do it with someone who doesn't have a lot of experience. Right. But you're going to most likely succeed better with someone who's done that exact same scenario many times in the past and knows what some of the pitfalls or red flags are that the average person might not know.
Yeah. What's that line that gets often thrown around? It's not my first rodeo.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess when you've been through a number of housing transactions and you help these families with the different challenges, and everyone must present, there must be common themes, but then everyone has a nuance too.
Yep.
Is you really become adept at problem solving. And I think that's one of the things that you're speaking to, and that's maybe one of the reasons you choose to work through what you call Team Taranto. So you have a number of associates, and I think you were explaining how different people within your team maybe carry a little bit of expertise, so you can rely on somebody to do one particular part of it, and then you can leave another aspect to somebody else. And I think you were talking about like areas of like marketing or things, but talk a little bit about how the team actually works.
So essentially what a real estate team does is you take the process of, so like if you have this super real estate agent, a super real estate agent is going to have to be good at literally everything. They're going to have to be good at writing the contracts, negotiating the contracts, showing the houses, finding the houses, values, doing the CMA, sending. They're going to have to be good at literally every piece of it, doing social media marketing. The problem is there's no human being that actually is good at everything.
Right.
So that's just a dream. You can find single agents that are pretty good at a lot of those things. What we do as a team, and what real estate teams across the country are doing, is finding out like what are the pieces of this transaction and dissecting it and turning that into maybe 5 people. So you've got someone who does just the marketing, someone who just does the transaction coordination, which is making sure all the contracts are properly, every initial is in there and every form is in there, all the compliance is in there. Somebody else is just great at finding houses and sending you houses that just come on the market and showing them to you and negotiating, making offers. And others are good at generating leads through the internet and creating a team of telemarketers to follow up and call on all those leads. So you just got a lot of different pieces. Some agents are better at sellers, going on listing appointments, knowing the values, and promoting listings. So essentially, we put all of these people together with varying levels of experience to just create the highest level of performance and the highest level of customer satisfaction.
Well, I was thinking about this. You speak with such kind of authority and experience on this. And I remember asking you, I said, when did you get into the real estate business? And I think you told me it was 2004. So you've got the better part of 20 years worth of expertise in it. And you've been doing the work you've been doing with Keller-Williams and Team Taranto, I think you said since 2015, 14?
2014, yeah.
Yeah, so again, there's another 6-7 years of worth of experience in that front. And I guess that is what you bring to the table when you sit down with a family that's either buying or selling a house, is you, like again, we were talking before, it's not your first rodeo. You have waded through these waters before, and you're in a good place to guide somebody else how to do this correctly.
Yeah, and one of the neat things about it is kind of as you become a senior, and you realize you're getting a lot of experience because you got my 10,000 hours in. I've got all of this. That now I've got a team of agents. I've got some team members who have been in real estate 8 years. Some have been in it for 3 years. Some of them are just started a year ago. I'm able to convey and work closely with a lot of the different team members so that they're all benefiting from my 18 years of experience.
Right.
So partly that's one of the nice things about being a team, is I'm able to take all of this that I've learned and helping each other with the clients we're working with to make sure that everything is, that knowledge is shared, and we're negotiating as if I was negotiating on behalf of the client.
Well, right. And then if you think about it too, you've been around the senior world enough to have also seen some of the nuances and the things that are coming into play for seniors as they're either trying to downsize or come to the next stage in their life. And so I would imagine a lot of times you'll walk into somebody's family home that maybe they raised a family, had kids there and all kinds of things, and now they're empty nesters and trying to figure out how to make that transition. And again, this is where experience makes a difference, because the right questions to ask or the right tools to bring in to make that effective and as least stressful as possible. Yeah. We were talking about the word inertia. I guess a lot of times people, especially if you've had the home for 20, 30 years and there's probably a lot of good memories there and probably a whole bunch of stuff that you've collected over those 20, 30 years, and now you're trying to get on to your next chapter of life. That can be kind of stressful, even with all the other vagaries of real estate, and yet you've got kind of experience in working people through that. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that when you're working with a team that is successful and we're not desperate for that next commission check, when we're going to a client, there's cases where them selling their home may not be the best thing for them. Yeah. And to be able to just see that we're there to help the client no matter what that outcome may be. It may not involve us selling or working with them in that way. And it's very nice to be in that position to know that we're able to go in and work with the clients, whatever's best for them. That's great. We're happy to do that. And we also can recognize when the option is better to be this way or that way for the client.
So important. Talking with Tom Taranto with Team Taranto of Keller-Williams Realty Brevard. So just real quick, before we wrap up, I want to make sure people know how to get in touch with Team Taranto. What's the best way to do that?
Well, if they go to my website, it's teamtaranto.com.
Okay.
That's TeamTaranto.com. And my cell phone number is 321-961-2871.
All right. Well, thank you, Tom, for taking the time to share with us about the good work that you do in terms of helping seniors. And it really makes sense to take advantage of the expertise and get the help that you need for the job that you're trying to solve. In this case, it would be buying or selling a home. That's Team Taranto. So on behalf of Joe Steckler and our entire Helping Seniors team, thanks for joining us today for Helping Seniors Television. We'll see you next time.
I'm Joe Steckler. Thank you for joining our program today. I'd like to remind you that our senior information line is available to you at 321-473-7770. There you can get help and direction that could be helpful for your specific situation or circumstances. The work of helping seniors is very important, but we can't do it alone. That is why our sponsors here in Brevard County are so important. I'd like to thank our many area sponsors, businesses and medical providers who support the mission of helping seniors that help us carry the cost of our media efforts. If you'd like to join us either as a business partner or simply donate as an individual, we would welcome your call at 321-473-7770. You are always welcome to visit our website at www.helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. Thanks so much for your help. It does make a difference.